Continue to have a good year. And welcome back. Yes, we're welcoming you back, Dora. And do we have any visitors with us today, or new members, or potential new members? Well, how about this, since Dora's been gone for a while, let Dora tell us about your trip, and, a little bit about really that.
I don't think come back. I just want you to know, I started a new thing. I'm counting, oops. Have to have the phone in my pocket, because I'm counting my steps. Yeah, 8,000 steps a day, I'm down 10,000. It's amazing, but you just won't get anywhere. You have to. So if you live in Cape Town, you need to go to the pharmacy, walk your big bottle chair. I had a ball, but it's home and I'm back. Thanks.
If you walk backwards, it's a count back.
Well, no, yeah. There's a lot of, no, it's not, it's just such an old system that you go to Greece, you go to the Hilton, it says, please don't flush the tape. You have to have it.
That's my favorite Greek story.
It's still today. You know, they do, but the system is so ancient. And it's really hard, because when you come home, you know what you do? You go to your room and you check it on right now. Any other personal? Anyway, I'm home.
Welcome back. Okay, there are quite a few things going on in the community.
Yeah.
And, so I know we're not, but I'm gonna get started here, and then we have a couple sessions right here in the house. But, we get a lot of emails, a lot of, oh, someone have a hand raised or something?
No.
Oh, you're trying to get my attention?
I was checking to see if they had anyone on Zoom.
Betty.
Anyone what?
On Zoom.
Oh,
Right there.
all right, is anyone on?
No.
For all that. We're getting a lot of emails lately from Rotary District and International.
You're the president, stand wherever you want.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
To start with, there have been some challenges occurring around the world, well, not just saying here in this country, but around the world. That we've been getting information about if anyone desires to do a food donation for Jamaica because of Hurricane Melissa and all, it totally destroyed the island. The district is not doing anything in particular. The Rotary Foundation Disaster Response Fund, and all this is on DACDD. You can donate to that, and they're asking for anyone who would like to please do, because believe it or not, Jamaica is part of our district. Okay, they're part of our district.
It's part of our, not district. It's our part of our area.
What's the difference?
We're in area 33.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you get your fireside chat, you'll learn all of it.
It's the entire Caribbean, our area. Nice. We can take some trips.
They're in 7020. They're just. All right, so keep in mind Jamaica and all the Caribbean, and again, our district specifically is not doing anything, but Rotary on the response. The foundation disaster response is looking for any kind of donations, monetarily or anything that can do. Just heads up, we do have our district conference coming up this weekend on Shore Drive in Norfolk, Virginia. And in fact, because of our club size, we're one of the few clubs that are eligible to send 3 delegates to the legislative component. And so the 3 that have been begged, borrowed, stealed, promised to, made, lied to, or whatever we had to do, that will be representing us at the district will include Van, Katie, and myself. And that's the vote on sending a representative from the district up to a conference up in Chicago. Plus, they're doing some procedural changes and updates and stuff. And so we'll be voting on that, and that'll be Saturday afternoon. And so that's just letting you know, how many of you are going to that, the intermittent, we don't know when it goes the whole time, are we? Going to the district conference on Shore Drive in Norfolk, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, okay, that's good. And a couple of them here are going to be going, so, thank you, and that'll be a good representation. Also, if anyone wants to contribute either monetarily or food goods, they will be collecting, food goods for those. The pantries are going very, very empty here. A lot of people who do not usually utilize food pantries are having to assist with their federal government or in any organization that is supposed to be funded by the federal government and are not receiving funds as long as the government slows down. There are a lot of our neighbors who are showing up at these food pantries. They say they've never been there before and they never thought they would, but they're very thankful that they're there. So at the district conference, they will be collecting food stuff. So if anybody wants to send anything monetarily or to one of us that raise our hand that are going between now and Friday or Saturday, just let us know. We'll carry it over and
I'll
publish
come
it.
pick it up if you have.
Okay, and Bill will come pick it up if you have something you want to donate, food or anything, non-perishable, of course. And so also we got a request from, and thank you, Bill, for reminding me also. I mean, they're looking, this is a little bit ahead of time, but this plan ahead for next summer. The Sail Fest Fellowship event is coming to Cape Charles, June 19th through 21st of 2026. That's when you may or may not want to be in town that day, but if you're in town, they're looking for volunteers, help with parking and other activities. And Rotary usually has a fairly good showing there. So again, June 19th through 21st, 2026. Rotary volunteered for Sail Fest Fall Ships. That'll be right here in Cape Charles. It's beautiful. They're very beautiful. So just think about that. And put that on your calendar. And so, Bill, Fran, do you have?
I do.
Debate?
Bill Payne, please come forward.
Where to go? You're not the president, you're the
Please.
busy motive.
The American Legion Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate of appreciation is gratefully presented to Bill Payne in recognition and sincere appreciation of outstanding service and long tenure, at least 10 years, as the chairman of the middle school essay contest. His years of service have contributed immeasurably to the advancement of American Legion programs and activities dedicated to God and country. Presented by Northampton Post 56, Department of Virginia. This 4th day of November 2025, tested by William R. Strand, Adjutant and NCR Wilderson, Command. I knew he wouldn't want to do this at the post, so I thought, oh, if you get a more of a send off here.
Thank you very much. Well deserved, Bill Payne, and thank you, Bill.
Bill needs a replacement.
That's right, I do. We'll get it.
Okay.
Okay, done. Very good. Do we have any more announcements that anyone would like to make? Okay, Mark?
Just quickly, the Impact Center, formerly known as the Rosenwald, Washington School, formerly the Cape Charles Elementary, is getting all the furniture like delivered in the next couple of weeks. And if anyone would like to help with a screwdriver, put something that together, just let me know, and we'll coordinate a day or two to go in for a couple hours. But they're getting chairs and tables and that sort of thing, so it needs some help.
Mark, any other announcements? comments, suggestions, or anything else going on? Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh,
After today's meeting, there will be a short meeting of the bookmobile committee. There's not a lot going on, but we're starting to plan for the spring.
okay, springtime is here. We get, hopefully not on this for bus drivers. Bill, you're gonna give us a review on how Halloween went with Sheriff Valley?
I wasn't there.
Oh, was anyone in this one there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, indeed.
Well, trunk or treat went well, we, all bought some candy, we got some, I think we just from the year before. We ran short about 6:30, we finished.
An hour's worth of.
Yeah, so I think we had David, you know, with his wife, and myself, and Jim, and Paul. Paul and I have just, we had some. Very good passion for the work. The large amount of kids, about 1,200 kids, they estimated. So. We ran next year we'll buy a little more.
Thank you, that really does something. Right? Same Halloween.
Yeah.
Any more business? How much about anything? All right, then, do we have any happy dollars? Anyone anything ecstatically happy about? All right.
This is my first, $100. Or something. I go some new ones that focus on children. Center for Career Development. Right. Right, the Center for Career Development, which I'm a counselor and advisor to. It's launching today, already. .org. Now, if you want to see what that is, capital A, capital L, small REATY, to assure that every young person is career ready when they get out of the public school. We're finding, and we have strategies and models forming much of it. A lot of work. But we're finding too many kids are graduating and get lost. So we took on that charge. Even though I'm hoping I need a little bit here, the beneficiary will be the kids in the country. $50.
Whoa.
So excited when we've been planning this launch for a while. Today.
All right. What's my good? ALL.
Capital A, capital L, capital L, and then small REAUY, already. .org. Explain. My picture there, songs, but yeah. Well, you can also see the models.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of you. That makes it happen. Thank you, Dave. Hey, Mike.
I'm gonna get $20 because I was able to get out of Illinois and see 4 of my 5 children, and I have 2 grandchildren.
Right.
Oh.
A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned a little story about my youngest brother retired. I want to give $10 because I'm going up to his oldest son is having a retirement party. So I'm going up to the Baltimore area in 2 weeks, spend some time. I'll get to see all my other brothers and their children and grandchildren, nieces, nephews, so it's gonna basically be a big family reunion thing, so I'm happy about that.
I gave you $25 just because I need that safely from my cruise in Northern Europe.
Will be late, failed, thing on plane.
No.
Okay, good job. Any more happy dollars? No more happy dollars, okay, Queen of Hearts, who has what cards?
No.
Uh-huh,
And we watched them.
okay. Oh, you're kidding.
Good chat.
Joker. Okay, what did the Joker got? That's the Joker.
Got the, it's the heart.
Okay, come on, push one, hey, hi. Okay, it's a heart, it's a face. All right.
Three shoes.
Okay, well, so,
Collecting of $32, so we, $8, so for the winner.
Hey.
okay, and you can remix it any way you desire. All right.
No, that,
No, I'm going to do that. And so, okay. Take those out. Okay. All right, so we still have Queen of Hearts open. Oh, some of the. It was 7 years ago, was six. Yeah, so this was the sixth part, so that's out of the next, so we got another chance. We grow the pot. To grow the pot and to add more, so six parts is out of the deck. All right. I'll take care of this later. And so, next we will be having our speaker today, who is a member, Diane Domingo. Demonto, who will be giving us her bio as a new member to our Rotary.
Um, my father came from New York City, and when they moved down here, he and his family, nobody had heard of an Italian, but they had heard of Amico gas station. So that's how we became D'Amico as opposed to D'Amico. But now everybody is Italian, so they want to know why we're not D'Amico, but when you're D'Amico for 73 years, you don't change it. So there you go. That's not part of my talk. Okay, so I had come up with this really excellent story about my life. I mean, really. It was all lies, but it was fabulous. And I was talking to Paul Strong, and he said, well, Diane, don't you remember what this thing on the wall said? I'm like, no, I can't. And he says, well, the first one that says, isn't the truth? You're not allowed to lie. And I'm like, I spent all this time on it. So now this is my real life. It's not that exciting, but it's long. So you just sit there, keep eating, and order dessert if you need to. Okay, so when I was born, it was kind of a time of confusion because I was born in February, and in December, I was the first one. In December, my parents had gone out and bought this Christmas flame, big round blue ball, and they had put on it, Dan, in silver sparkles. So when I was born, they were sure that there had been a major mistake, and probably they had switched it. Because my father, being pure Italians have boys, and my father wanted boys. I was a girl, So they ended up naming me Diane, but they didn't put the I and E in the ornament. I still have that ornament. Now, interestingly, 2 years later, my mother had another baby, and they had a red ornament that said Steve. But my sister's name is Sandy. And then 2 years later came Lori. She was a mistake. You all know that. So she was a mistake. So my mother thought, well, you can't have 3 kids. You got to have meetings. So she had the fourth, which was Cheryl. So we had 4 girls in our family, all 2 years apart. My father wanted to keep trying, and my mother said, forget it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was the end of that. So, there's 4 girls in my family, as I said, and my father is very dandy. So after he got out of the shop, he was very thrilled to have 4 girls, and he would take us out shopping. Not my mother, my father. And we would have cute little outfits, and we would all walk hand in hand downtown DC. We were darling. I was an energetic child, as you probably can't imagine. So by the age of 3, my mother had me in kindergarten. Now, remember, there was no public school kindergarten, so this was private school. So she sent me to kindergarten at the same time. A little girl in the neighborhood, not little, a teenager, decided she was going to teach ballet. And my mother said, oh, perfect. So she sent me over there, and I started taking ballet lessons. 2 things came of these 2 happenings. One, I found out very early on in the private school that if you were bad, you sat in the corner, but not just any corner, the library corner. And I love to read, so I was bad all the time, all the time. And I read a lot. And the other thing was, starting ballet, I realized I really, really liked it. So it wasn't long before I went to a professional studio, and the ballet master was in the Leningrad Kirov and ran away from Russia and all of this. So I thought I was going to be a ballerina, but a couple things got in the way. One, I'm 4'11" 3/4. Most ballet dancers are taller. I'm also not given to being thin, and I do like to eat. So I finally decided, well, I will not be a world famous ballet dancer. What I think I'll do, I'll go to. So I kept up my dance lessons, but I started doing theater things. In high school, I was in all the plays, I choreographed all the musicals. I did theater in the community. I did a lot. When I came here, some of you may have seen my fabulous starring roles at the Palace. When my line was, "Do not son."
Yay!
This is that. So I have continued to take dance lessons, and the reason why I'm late to this meeting every week is because I take tap dancing lessons before this meeting. So I have to run home, make it look like I took a shower, put on an outfit and come here.
Got the dancing on?
I can tap. Yes, sir. Okay, education. Well, I mentioned kindergarten. One of the interesting things about kindergarten, now I'm incredibly intelligent. You may not have realized that, but I am, and I skipped a grade. So I went from kindergarten I skipped advanced kindergarten, went right to 1st grade. Honest to God, I did. So I was 5 years old in 1st grade, and then, private school was fine, but the private school ended at 1st grade. So when 2nd grade came, my mother went and begged, and I don't know, promised, I don't know, maybe one of her children, if they would let me start 2nd grade. And I did. So I graduated when I was 17. I was a so student. If I liked the course, I got really good grades. If I didn't like it, I don't care, as long as I passed it. A D was fine with me. So when it came time for college, we have too many colleges who are interested. But I did get Radford. I went to Radford. Now, if you are familiar with Radford today, that is not the Radford. I went to Radford in 1969. It was a girls' school. We wore dresses to class. Our hair was fixed and we had makeup on. It snowed. And if the president of the school got on the radio and said it's an official snow day, then we could wear pantsuits. Do you remember pantsuits? They were outfits that went together, not like jeans and a t-shirt. In fact, denim was not part of our clothing at all. We were never allowed to wear denim. So that was my first shock at Radford. My second shock was when I went to my first class in my dress with a wig on. And having gone to schools in Fairfax County, which are really, really good schools up there. I was used to asking questions and suggesting that maybe the teacher wasn't right. So when I did that at Radford the first time, there was like this big silence. Not a word. I mean, the teacher was aghast, the students were aghast. I didn't realize that ladies don't ask questions. So I never asked another question at Radford, but I quickly realized that was not the place for me. So I transferred, to Virginia Tech. Cleverly, I transferred at the end of December to the January because if I had tried to transfer at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have made it. But by December, people would kind of quit. So I went to Tech, and that was interesting because at Tech, the first class I went to was at Burris Hall. For those of you who know Tech, you know what I'm talking about. 500 people were in that class. Now I'm used to Radford with 15 ladies. And here I am, I'm hearing 500 people, and there was me and one other girl. I was like, whoa. Unfortunately for me, because my goal in college had been to date every single student met. I had met Phil the week after I started college. Yeah, it was stupid. I should have saved him for later, but So I had him the whole time. So anyway, I didn't get to date any of those 500 men, or really 498 men. But this was how things went back then. And if you're a woman, you understand how things were. So let's see. One of the things about Phil, I met him at a mixed Radford, because we didn't have boys. We would have mixers and invite the Virginia Tech boys over. And since Virginia Tech had maybe 4 girls and their professors' daughters, they all came. So this was a mixer, and Phil asked me to dance, and I thought, oh God, he's wearing a sweater tucked in. Who wears their sweater tucked into their belt? And I was saying say no, but I really didn't know how to say no. So I said, okay, it's a really good dance. Kept dancing with him, and then we walked around the campus, and then he got my phone number, and I actually had a phone in my room. Please remember, no cell phones, right? And he called me the next day, and he didn't tell me who he was. He just called me and started talking, and 3 hours later, we finally stopped talking, and I'm thinking, well, who the hell does he think he is? Maybe I had 7 men calling me from that dance. But anyway, he claims, so if you ever talk to him, he claims that at the dance, I told him that I never wanted children. And if he wanted children, we should not date anymore. And I claimed that it was on the telephone. So, whatever. One good thing about him is he has 4 sisters and him. So between us, we have 7 sisters. Yeah, it's a lot of sisters. But I figured, a guy who has 4 sisters has got to know women, right? And he's pretty good at it. There are a few things. His sisters claim that he abused her, but he said he was really nice to everyone. We've been married 47 years, but together 56. And right in this little locket is a picture of Phil when he was a hippie. So if anyone knows Phil, wants to look like he's a hippie, there it is. My career. Well, it's kind of hard to say I had a career because when I would get bored with something, I would quit. And then I do something totally different. So when you do that, you don't really build up a career, right? you kind of start at the bottom, just about everything. So my first job, my degree was in urban affairs. Did you love that? Urban affairs. They immediately changed it to urban studies because I guess people started questioning that title. I was the only one in that group who got a job in our field. Nobody else got a job. And I was a zoning inspector for the town of Herndon. If you know Northern Virginia, Herndon is right next to Dulles Airport, and on the other side of it is Reston. And when I went to Herndon, it was very tiny. It had not yet developed. In fact, Reston wasn't even all that developed. I was the first zoning inspector in the county of Fairfax, maybe the state, but I don't know if that's true. I can't remember. And I really liked that job. It was really fun. I got to go to court, I got to meet with all the expensive lawyers. I got to send people letters that said you're doing the wrong thing. That was great. I loved it. But unfortunately, the town manager had a roving eye. Yeah. His office. We would stand outside of his office every time a woman went in there and he locked the door. And he would listen with the door. It's all the women upstairs. So when he started looking my way, I went, whoa, I'm out of here. So I quit that job. The next job, Western Union Electronic Mail. You ever heard of that? You have? I'm so excited. Yeah, I went to Western Union Electronic Mail, and this was kind of like having a computer, but you didn't have one. So if you wanted to send a message to 1 million people at one time, like you can do now on your own computer, right? You would become one of our customers, and we would input all of your addresses on punch cards. Remember the old punch card operators? All right, so they worked all night. And then you would call us up and you would say, this is a message that I want sent. And then they would get the punch cards, write the message and send it. Unfortunately, you wouldn't know if the message went until the next day. And most of these messages were the kind that had to go out. So I was in customer service and I learned to lie really well. I was an excellent liar, as was most people I worked with, because we couldn't tell them that, we made a mistake on the punch cards. So we had to tell them, well, this morning they were doing some work on the front and the big bobcat came in and tore up the, and after a while we ran out of excuses, so I quit that job. The next job was Piedmont.
What?
Piedmont Airlines.
Oh.
The best airlines ever. It was so much fun to work for them, and we traveled all over. Phil, by that time, had quit the government, so he had a lot of maintenance company. And in those days, once mid-November, he didn't do anything GBR. Nobody. So he was pretty much free from mid-November till Marchish, So I would work as many shifts as I could over the summer so that in the winter I didn't have to work. And we would travel all over the world. So we had a wonderful time traveling all over the world. It was free and hotels were like half price or less. And I got a mink coat and I got it for half price because I loved the airlines, which was hysterical. I got it in Finland. But weird things like that. So it was like being rich with no money. So that was fun. And then US Air bought Piedmont, and that was not fun. So I quit. And then I don't know where this stupid idea came, but we opened up 3 frozen yogurt stores. 3. Not one. God forbid we should have just one. We had 3. And that was a time when, what was it called? Around Desert Storm. So that was that time when the economy went. So no one was buying yogurt. And everybody wanted to work it because they thought I had money. I didn't have any money. I was just 3 stores and nobody was going there. It was tough. We finally got rid of those. I went to work for United Airlines. That didn't last long. All during this, I taught aerobics. I taught aerobics for almost 20 years. I was at the beginning of the aerobic dance. And that started, and I was in it for a long time. Me and Jane found out, weird times. I went to work for Weight Watchers. That turned out pretty good, actually. You could make a lot of money if you work for Weight Watchers. I went to businesses, and I would do Weight Watcher meetings. I had business. I made lots of money. So then they tapped me and said, do you want to be the head of the at-work program? And I said, well, hello. I mean, you're in Maryland, I'm in Virginia, I'm not driving there every day. I said, now, if you want to make it part-time, I'll do it. So they made it part-time, but they paid me the same amount of money. And that program was in bad trouble. It was in chaos, actually, and I love chaos. So I got in there and I got it squared away and it started to do well. And then I went to them and said, I deserve more money. So this idiot who is married to the woman who owns it, he says, wow, how about, and he gives me this ridiculously high amount of money. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Let me sign up for this. But what it ended up happening was I made a lot of money for a year and a half, and then they sold it because it was doing so well. So I was out of the job once again. That's okay. Then I worked for a church. That was pretty amazing. I wanted a job that was close to my house. And this church, if I walked, I could be there in less than 5 minutes. If I drove, I could be there like from living room to my office 1 minute. It was ridiculous. I could see the steeple from my house. I had no experience at this at all. But what the hell? I didn't have experience with any of these jobs. And it was fine. So I went in and I did do one thing that I thought I wasn't going to get the job because the pastor was talking to me, you know, when I was being interviewed, and he was saying, you know, if you think that we're all goody two shoes around here, you would be wrong. Sometimes we say bad words when we get upset. And I said, oh, thank God, stuck is my favorite. And then I like my mistake. So, but they hired me. I was shocked. And my Aunt Jane was going to that church. And she went to the pastor on Sunday, you know, when you go by and you shake hands. She said to the pastor, I'm telling you, you've made a big mistake. Lightning is going to strike the church. And you know what? It did. It hit the roof and went down through all these systems, but you couldn't see the damage. It's just that nothing worked. So I spent like the first 3 years, that's all I did. And at the time, you know, the Ma Bell was kind of not there anymore. And AT&T was there, but it was totally different. And you couldn't get anybody to help you. You couldn't get the same person. And finally, I ran into a woman who worked for Ma Bell for so many years. So she took over all my problems and we got it all fixed. But it took a long time. So, and that was not what I had thought I was going to do there. One thing though, it was me who was a church administrator, the pastor, the associate pastor, and the choir director. And the director of music, he was fabulous. By the time I left, I had them all say, geez, stop. So, yeah, I know, I was bad, but you can't imagine how stressful it is to work with a church. So anyway, why did I live here? Good question. My sister bought a condo in Bay Creek. She lives in Massachusetts, and she wanted us to come see it. So we came down, and the condo was very nice, and we got in the golf cart that she had purchased immediately, and we drove through Cape Charles, and we went, ew, what is this? What were you thinking? This was now before everything happened here, right? This was when you go in a house and the whole back of the house just wasn't there. There was no wall. Or, you know, I remember one of my neighbors telling me he was so excited when he first moved in because he had a lot of people meeting on his corner. And he thought it was all neighbors, but it was a drug deal place, you know. So this is the kind of stuff that was going on. And we just said, well, it's a free vacation. But we're never living here. At the time we were looking in Blacksburg, thought we lived near the school. Eventually, though, we found ourselves driving around town, going, that's a nice house. Oh, you think we want to live on this street? And we got a real estate agent and eventually we bought a lot and built a house. But in 2014, I got cancer. Yeah, it's called diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. And I just got this a little thing on the back of my tongue, something, I don't know what it was. And I finally went to the doctor. He said, I don't see anything. Send you to this person. And they said, well, I did this. And there's possibly something wrong. We send you to this. Did you know there's tongue specialists? I had no idea. So I went to a tongue specialist. And indeed, I had cancer on my tongue. Now, meanwhile, I had told my sisters, right, at recently, I do not have cancer. I do not have cancer. I do not have cancer. Don't worry. Of course, they're calling me all the time. They're calling Phil. They're calling each other. And Phil had decided when he found out that I had cancer that I was going to get well immediately and I was never going to get it again. I said, well, that's kind of interesting. What happens if I die? You know, who the hell knows? But anyway, so that started in January of 2014. By August of 2014, I declared myself cancer free. The doctor said, you know, you're in remission. I said, I'm cancer free. And I said, what's the likelihood I'm going to get this? Now he said, and I'm trying to remember how old I was, but anyway, he said, you know, if you're younger than, let's say, 65, it's 90% chance of getting it. I'm not getting it. But if you're older than that, it's 50. Now, of course, I was a year older than that. But I said, I'm sorry, I'm not getting cancer again. So let's just pretend I'm in this category again. Anything else interesting? Not much else interesting. I spend my time reading, obviously, and gardening. Phil and I are big gardeners. Phil is president of the New Roots. I call the children's garden New Roots. When I moved to Cape Charles, we lived in the town. We built a house in the town. But at that, in May of this year, May of last year, we just decided we had enough. We had been involved very much in government and the stuff that was going on in the town, and you know, a little bit of a rabble rouser. And we just decided we're old, we're gonna die in 12 years. So it's time for us to go out and do something fun. So we built a house in Tower Hill. The one good thing about it was our house in Cape Charles, we sold it in 3 days for exactly what we wanted. That was chill. But then we were homeless for 6 months. And we went to Basie, Virginia, and rented a place and lived there for 3 months. And we came back and lived in my sister's condo. So now we live in Tower Hill. We really like it a lot. And if you don't live there, you ought to consider it. We had a good time. We even had a Halloween party where a guy almost died and an ambulance came. He's fine now. So that's it. Okay, I can't imagine what the questions.
Wait a minute, what about the planning commission, Norm?
Oh, you. Planning commission?
Moving on to.
Yeah, Phil and I will someday talk about that, but not now. No. Okay, next. Yes,
Say New York.
my father was from the Bronx, yes, and he lived there until he was 16, I think, and then moved down to Virginia. My father never finished school.
Well, how did you pick up on the language?
So-
Jesus. Time.
Parents didn't cuss, and I didn't cuss until I got my first job. Yeah, I know, and
Like standard, yeah, every day.
I know, and when people say this, I think, well, how do you make sure people understand how important it is to you? I don't, but yeah, you're right. Okay.
You're happy to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about it. I will say, it really had not been my intention. I was just gonna work with Jim on the bookmobile, but somehow, oh, Jim. Yeah. It worked. But I said,
Thank you so much, Diane.
oh,
Thank you.
do I get something for Venus?
No. Get up, gotta go. No. It's my favorite fall shirt, but I was a thing. I don't know where I got it from and I can't remember if I've had it for years. Almost as old as. Thank you. Diane, very interesting life. And we're very happy that you're here on Sylvia. Okay, and continue to be active with us. All right. Do we have anyone who wants to make any announcements? One last thing, do we want to, Karen, say thank you to the people who work the.
The other day, on Saturday, we even turned away volunteers because we did. Well, we did. But anyway, it was quick. We had 11 volunteers, including Julia and me. Yeah, Julia ran a mobile assist vehicle. Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, and everything went well. Everybody needs to remind me to count the bags because the VDOT lady always wants me to count the bags and I always forget.
Make up a number.
Count the bags.
Thank you, thank you everyone, help keep our community clean. And so we're moving the announcements so we can stand and move forward to.
We will definitely have some fun.
Yeah. Don't forget the vote, but I don't think that I have to say that to too many of us. Thank y'all.